My friends, this week we're taking a very short break from the exercises because I have to talk about something incredibly important and very special that I didn't really talk about yet so far. And it all concerns a frustrated guitar student question that I got on Patreon. The message came from a self-taught intermediate level guitar player, and the main frustration, as with many other players at this level, was all about breaking through that annoying speed barrier. In the question they opened up and said that they practice every single day. Everything works fine up until a certain point, but then the approach of just adding 2 or 3 beats per minute to the tempo, or maybe even just 1, suddenly starts failing because it feels like you're hitting an invisible wall with your technique. You simply can't break through and play faster anymore. The technique completely falls apart, it sounds super messy, and then whenever you look at guitar players playing effortlessly at those super fast tempos, naturally there will be some frustration. What are they doing different? What's the problem right here? There are kind of 2 paths and possible solutions right here. You know the first one already because I talk about it very frequently on this channel. There might be something wrong with the technique, meaning the picking angle could be improved. Maybe it's a full arm motion, maybe it's the wrist. For a lot of self-taught players, the wrist when they're playing isn't really properly unlocked, which is why they struggle with pushing for higher speeds, because the entire movement is just coming from the arm like this and it's very stiff. So that's the first path, and where the issue could lie. There could be some bad habits with the technique and the technique needs to be adjusted. But I did see videos of this student playing and the technique actually looked really good. It was a relaxed wrist picking movement and the picking angles also looked pretty good. Even the fretting hand fingers were relatively close to the neck and it all seemed quite synchronized. So from the technical analysis we could see this is not where the problem actually lies. What a lot of players don't really know or see is the other side of that issue, and that concerns how you're actually practicing every single day. Because as I mentioned, this approach of adding a couple of numbers to your overall BPM goal, so going from 110 to 112 or 13 or something like that, that kind of incremental increase when it comes to your practice tempos with the exercises does work until a certain point. But unfortunately, maybe you've experienced this already, this approach stops working because at one point your movement will need to change. Because it's very easy and it feels really good to play with a pure wrist movement at slower tempos, for example. But when I personally reach the faster tempos, like 16th notes at around 200 beats per minute or maybe even faster, I do feel that I'm pushing a little bit with my arm without the wrist ever locking up. So the wrist always stays loose and relaxed, but I am pushing a little bit with my arm in order to play really fast. And it's completely impossible to get a feeling for that super fast picking motion, or in general for that feeling of playing very fast, by practicing at around 100 or 120 beats per minute and then just trying to incrementally get to the super fast tempos. So my proposed solution to this dilemma and big problem is all about the 3 tempo zones. When I'm practicing, I'm thinking in those 3 different zones, and I usually spend quite some time in each one of them because they all have their individual benefits. And in this video I would like to break down this practice approach in detail for you, because I feel like if you're not working like this and you only know the incremental increase approach, you're really missing out on making some gains when it comes to your guitar technique. So zone number 1, all the way to the left, that's the fundamental practice and tempo zone. This might be playing an exercise at around 50 beats per minute, maybe even 40 or 30 beats per minute if I'm feeling very adventurous. This is really great for my timing. Because it might sound controversial, but it's the truth. A lot of extremely advanced guitar players cannot play quarter notes at 40 beats per minute perfectly in time. This is much harder than it sounds. So even to this day, I'm also playing exercises very slowly in my routine to further work on my timing. And when you're practicing very slowly with a big focus on your timing, you also have a lot of time in your head, or a lot of free space in my case, to really analyze the technique and to really think about, are my fingers close to the neck with the fretting hand? Am I picking from my wrist? Is the palm of my hand properly resting on the bridge? Am I following the strings with my picking hand? So all of the important technical details you want to emphasize, that's where you can really focus on them. And that's why I still really like and definitely preach practicing at very slow tempos. There are tons of benefits when it comes to that. The second tempo zone is the infamous mid-tempo zone, I would say at around 120 to 130 beats per minute when it comes to 16th notes. This is where I'm still purely picking from my wrist, and my wrist needs to be really relaxed and unlocked in order for this to happen. The reason why a lot of players can't push beyond this phase is because that's kind of a weird transitional phase. As soon as you enter 130, 40, maybe 50 BPM, that's where your arm might get involved a little bit, because there are very few players that can really play at 200 beats per minute or something with a pure wrist movement. Also, those movements will get very, very, very small. And I sometimes do like some picking attack when it comes to my riffs and licks. So the third tempo zone is naturally pushing it to tempos where I'm not comfortable playing at yet. Because if you always stay in the middle, in this kind of safe zone where you can play an exercise, and you just try to push like 1 or 2 beats per minute faster, you won't have that big aha moment that you will get after a couple of weeks of practicing way outside your comfort zone. That's where the real gains are happening. So when everything's falling apart and it feels weird, there's a lot of string noise and it just doesn't feel right, that's actually what you really want in your routine. Because I distinctly remember when I was practicing way too fast and in a sloppy way, I did make some mental connections of, okay, I guess this is how it should probably feel like once I can actually play clean at this tempo. And it would have been impossible to build my technique at very fast tempos if I never forced myself to play at those tempos in my practice routines without being able to do that yet. A couple of important tips when it comes to this. Number one, you also definitely want to make sure not to hurt yourself. So I'm encouraging you to push beyond what you can actually play. What that doesn't mean is just using brute force in order to do that. So whenever you feel some kind of pain or weird burning sensation with either of your hands, wrists or arms, that's not a good sign, because even when I'm playing very, very fast, I'm still quite relaxed. Another tip, and I know I share this one quite often because it's so extremely important, recording yourself really, really pays off. Because when you're pushing beyond your comfort zone, you will pretty much use all of your brain cells in order to kind of connect your hands and to make it work somehow. But when you have some video footage that you can analyze after your practice routine, where you can step outside your body kind of and just look at what you're doing, it will be much easier to analyze why your technique might not be working at the moment. Maybe you realize that when you push for higher speeds, your finger movements get way bigger and you touch strings that you don't really want to touch, resulting in a lot of noise. Or you can see that you're kind of cramping up with your fast picking motion, that the wrist is super stiff and you're just going as fast as possible, and you can even feel some kind of pain or burning sensation right here in your biceps or something. So getting some evidence that you can analyze after, right of those sections where you push beyond your comfort zone, that can also be a huge game changer. And the third and probably most important tip is you actually want some professional help if you want to master this quickly. So if you feel like all this concerns you, the frustration of being stuck at a certain BPM level, and maybe you even did push outside your comfort zone, but you can't really see what's holding you back, or you don't feel like you're making the progress that you should be making, I just set up a brand new Discord server for my Patreon Academy. So all the personal coaching and platinum members have access to this one and can submit some practice videos. And I'm doing my absolute best, along with our amazing, positive and constructive community over there, when it comes to giving feedback to those practice videos, so that you actually know what you're doing wrong, so that you can correct it and make much faster progress along the way. And if you would rather have a step-by-step system, so someone telling you on day 1 practice this, day 2 do that, day 3 now it's time to practice this, I also have full guitar technique courses in my online guitar academy on Patreon. The link is down below. It's patreon.com/bernd. And with these simple to follow step-by-step courses, you will also eliminate any kind of bad habits that are currently holding you back from building more speed and getting a cleaner technique. I really hope that this will help with making faster and more satisfying progress. And I'll talk to you on Patreon. Have an amazing day. Bye bye.